Chapter 6. The Fastest Sword. Koloktos' soaring blade discs soared around like speeding frisbees of death, as Mikoto and Asuna ducked the blades that flew around, attempting to avoid Koloktos. None of them could even get close to damage the giant automaton's pulsating weak point, as it would use its other four arms to slam the ground repeatedly, attempting to pulverize any who drew near into submission. It's tough, Mikoto stammered, as she barely blocked another thrown disc blade by Koloktos in a burst of sparks. Really tough! Just blocking the blade alone had reduced Mikoto's health by a bit. If she even tried to go close range, there was no doubt she'd be smashed. With only 2 players against this monstrous boss, they were doomed. Mikoto knew that they needed an edge, and there was something that just might do it. But Mikoto was afraid. She had never used it before, and didn't know what would happen if she did. Koloktos suddenly backhanded Mikoto straight through a pillar, causing it to explode into shambles as Mikoto let out a cry, and her health went into the yellow zone. Misaka! Asuna launched herself up in front of Mikoto and blocked another blow from Koloktos, creating a ginormous shockwave in the process. I won't die, Asuna growled, and I won't let her die either. Ugh! Somehow, Asuna managed to knock the giant hand aside, and she charged in, stabbing her blade forward as it glowed with tremendous light. Immediately, Koloktos' pulsating chest was hit by a great strike, and some of Koloktos' health went down. Now, Misaka! Asuna yelled. Stun it! Mikoto screamed and dashed forward with blistering speed, slashing her blade through the pulsating point. Immediately, Koloktos froze up, and Mikoto and Asuna took advantage of the 2-second stun to deal a barrage of damage, slicing and dicing their blades through Koloktos' soft point. After the 2-second stun, Koloktos slammed its fists against the ground, sending the 2 players hurtling back. Asuna! Mikoto exclaimed. Her terror ignited when she saw Asuna's health drop into the yellow zone as well. Mikoto drew out a potion from her item pouch and threw it to her. Hurry! Drink it! Asuna took the potion and drank it, before throwing it back to Mikoto. Drink the rest! After the potion was finished, the 2 both rode out of the way as Koloktos directed 2 of its 6 arms at smashing Asuna and Mikoto. This thing doesn't have any problem with focusing on more than one target at once, Asuna exclaimed. Without at least 5 more people, we won't have any hope at distracting it completely. Misaka, I think we're going to die here. Mikoto gritted her teeth. No. I refuse to let you die. This stupid game can take me if it wants, but I refuse to let you die. Ah! Mikoto ran past the astonished Asuna, bobbing and weaving between the 2 flying blades, and the 4 other ginormous metal arms. No way, Asuna whispered. I know she maxed out her speed stat, but she's still getting faster. The giant monstrosity let out a clanking cry and slammed down all 6 arms at Mikoto. But Mikoto let out a burst of speed so extreme, Asuna couldn't even see her, the arms smashing down on nothing, and Mikoto reappeared, standing on its hands before running up one of its arms like a ramp. Mikoto then fell forward and twirled through a gap in the arms so that she was upside down in midair, next to Koloktos' pumping heart. She screamed and slashed the pulsating red orb with a tremendous strike before flipping and landing on her feet and dealing some more strikes. Koloktos reared back, its arms waving around wildly from the shock of being stricken repeatedly. Switch! Mikoto roared, launching herself out of the way of another arm as Asuna closed in and began dealing some strikes of her own. That's right, thought Asuna. Once somebody gets in close enough to strike it a second time, the AI reacts to it. That way, there's an opening for other players to strike. Apparently, the opening wasn't a long-lasting one, because one of Koloktos' giant arms came raging down at Asuna. Before Asuna could react, however, Mikoto launched herself in between her and the arm, and slammed the arm aside with her blade, in a burst of sparks and a shockwave. Mikoto panted from the strain of the block, her avatar looking extremely fatigued as her health went down little by little. "Come on, Robo-Buddha," said Mikoto. "You want her? Well then, you'll have to get through me first." Koloktos may have only been an AI, but Mikoto could almost see the rage steaming out of the boss's metallic head. It slammed Mikoto to the floor with one hand, and used one of its disc blades to attempt to behead her while she was held to the floor. But Asuna jumped in and knocked the blade aside with much effort. Together, the twosome forced the giant hand off, and both let out battle cries, going to work and knocking away the powerful arms to continue hacking away at Koloktos' core. For an hour they fought, using up potions and dodging swift and deadly blows. Their only advantage was that Koloktos was practically rooted to the ground, and therefore, whenever they were out of range, the only thing the automaton could do was throw its weapons. However, that also gave it time to reposition its arms and protect its heart. Finally, they were down to the final sliver of health, and Mikoto was just beginning to think they could win this. They could survive. "Come on!" Mikoto screamed. "Just a little bit more!" "Together!" Asuna roared. "Now!" White and golden blade both lit with a great light and met together, stabbing into the heart of the golden monstrosity. There was a burning glow as Koloktos' health reached 0. Then, the drone fell silent. Its arms went limp, and it bowed its head. "That," Mikoto said, "was close." Mikoto fell to her knees as Asuna patted her back. "We did it. We won." Asuna smiled and nodded. "Wow, I did not think we would make it out of this one." Mikoto chuckled. "Yeah, me neither, to be honest. I thought we were both dead." "Just one thing," Asuna said. "Back there, how did you do that?" "Do what?" "For a minute," said Asuna. "You weren't just faster than me. You were faster than the limits of a maxed out speed stat. You went beyond the system's limits for how fast a player at your level can be. You were a complete blur." Mikoto went wide-eyed. Well... Mikoto knew why that happened. She knew well enough. However, she wasn't sure if she should tell Asuna, or anybody for that matter. "Well," Mikoto said again, but then stopped. Something was very wrong. "Asuna, shouldn't there be a congratulations icon for when we beat the boss? And experience and gold?" Asuna's eyes widened fearfully as a shadow fell over the two girls. A giant golden arm swatted Asuna away where she slammed into a wall. "Asuna!" Mikoto screamed. Asuna had lost consciousness. Her health bar was now at a measly number 1, literally only millimeters from death. Koloktos took all 6 of its arms and slammed them against the ground like a spider. It then wrenched its torso from the ground, ripping apart its pedestal. 2 large, stubby, sturdy legs formed, and it stood up. Koloktos then reached its 6 arms to its back, and unsheathed 6 ginormous scimitar swords, each of their blades around 10 feet long. 5 health bars formed, and filled up near Koloktos' boss icon. Mikoto stepped back, her face showing utmost fear as Koloktos stomped forward, waving and twirling its 6 massive blades, now wearing a frighteningly creepy smile, with pitch-black eyes streaming dark energy out. And as if that weren't enough, a metal grate closed over its vulnerable core protectively. "This isn't happening," Mikoto whimpered. "That's not fair!" Koloktos twirled its 6 giant swords and swung them at Mikoto with blistering speed. Mikoto dodged and blocked the blades best she could. But 6 swords at once, each larger than her entire body, Mikoto found it a miracle she wasn't already dead. With each blow that connected with her blade, Mikoto felt some of her health drain. The powerful concussive force of the 6 giant swords alone were enough to crack any ordinary shield to dust. Mikoto tried to jump out of range of the Coloctos' attacks, but the automaton, now on legs and not rooted to the ground, jumped into the air and dived down at Mikoto, swinging its blades like a combination between a buzzsaw and a windmill. Mikoto barely leapt out of the way in time, as the entire chamber shook from Coloctos' impact. Mikoto turned around to face the giant boss. This time, it was truly over. This was the kind of boss that had always been meant to face with at least 6 others. They had no chance. Mikoto then realized she was only standing 3 feet away from a nearly dead Asuna. Only 1 health left. 1. And Mikoto was all that stood between her and this giant metal brute. Mikoto then knew. She couldn't die here. Not now, not ever. And even if she was going to die, she would die with a sword in her hand, not hiding under the covers. "Alright, pal," said Mikoto. "Get your giant metal ass over here and let's finish this!" Mikoto dashed forward, screaming her heart out once more as she wove a web with her blade, smashing aside the giant ones that rained down upon her. She began to go faster and faster and faster and faster and even faster. Almost as if there was no limit to her speed, she flashed in and out of view around Coloctos, slashing her blade across its metal-grated chest. However, no blow was able to tear through the chest piece, to hit the vulnerable part within. That's when, unexpectedly, Mikoto's blade passed through the gap in the joint on one of Coloctos' arms, slicing through the dark energy and severing the arm off. As the giant metal forearm holding its giant sword clanged to the floor, Mikoto wasted no time, slicing several other arms off. However, the health bars still wouldn't go down, and the arms hovered back into place, making Coloctos whole again. Mikoto had used up the last of her health potions. There was no way out of this. Or was there? Mikoto tried slicing off one of the giant arms again, but this time, she sheathed her blade and dove to the giant arm, picking up the massive 10-foot-long scimitar. Summoning all her strength, she swung the giant blade through the metal grates, cleaving it apart and ripping through the automaton's heart, and dealing around 20% damage to one of its 5 health bars. "Here we go!" Mikoto growled. She used the giant blade, going as fast as she could with the extra weight, slashing through the metal giant's grating, its metal surface, cleaving apart some of the arms. Finally, Mikoto threw aside the giant sword and drew her own blade. "Demon Splitter!" Mikoto's blade glowed with fierce light and shot right into the center of the exposed core. Coloctos froze up, its remaining 3 arms with their blades in mid-swing towards Mikoto's skull. It made a creaking noise, and suddenly, all of its metal pieces fell apart, shattering into multicolored polygons as the words "Congratulations" appeared before Mikoto. On Mikoto's reward screen, a new item appeared, Master Sword, before the screen disappeared, and Mikoto noticed through her hazy vision that her health was only at 1, just like Asuna. Wow, a little too close. Mikoto wheezed before falling unconscious. When Mikoto next awoke, her head was on Asuna's lap, as Kirito helped feed a vial of health potion into her mouth. "Thank God!" Asuna breathed a sigh of relief as Kirito pocketed the empty vial. "I'm not dead, again," Mikoto muttered. "Either that or the afterlife is very crummy." "That joke never gets old for you, Misaka," said Kirito with a chuckle. "I know," said Mikoto. "That's why I keep making that joke. And also just in case the afterlife really is this crummy." Asuna laughed. "I'll remember that one." "How did you find us?" Mikoto muttered. "I noticed you guys had been gone for a while," said Kirito, So I expanded the search. I noticed that the entire dungeon had suddenly just been mapped just like that, and the only way that ever happens is if the floor boss was beaten, and I found this room. Kirito looked up at the door on the far end of the room. That must lead to the next town. Guess somebody's gotta go through it, huh? You and Asuna do that, Mikoto muttered. I'm going back to town, find an inn, and sleep. So, said Kirito, a skill called Shunpo, huh? Mikoto nearly froze stiff. How? Kirito accidentally found it when he accidentally opened your potions menu, Asuna said, giving Kirito a suspicious look. Accidentally, or so it seems. It was an accident, said Kirito. Yeah, it just appeared in my skills slots 4 months ago, said Mikoto. During critical moments, apparently it doubles my maximum speed and damage capacity. It's part of the reason I've been able to go against field bosses on my own when I don't have a ranged advantage. Supposedly, if I land enough blows, or if my emotions are in a high enough state, and I push myself enough, I get really, really fast. And then the skill activates. It doesn't happen often though, so I was able to keep it a secret. A unique skill, said Kirito. Wow, not many of those out there. This would practically make you the fastest player in the entire game though, said Asuna. Yeah, and I'd prefer others didn't know about it, Mikoto muttered. So please, lip-sealed? Kirito nodded. You've got it. They might be a problem though. Mikoto looked up to see several of Asuna's guards tiptoeing off. Oh, fiddlesticks. Whether or not you have a unique skill or not, said Asuna, this adventure was interesting, Misaka, and while we may have started out as not the best of friends, I think things might have changed, don't you think? Mikoto smiled and held Asuna's hand. Yeah, I think so. From then on, Asuna and Mikoto became very good friends, much to the confusion of the other players, who had all known the Glitchblade as the Flash to be the 2 players that knocked heads the most often. One more thing also changed though. The Knights of the Blood Oath were now extremely interested in having Railgun join their guild. And of course, the one thing that never changed was her answer: no.